Motives. How y'all doing today? I'm doing pretty good. It's beautiful out here in New Jersey. And then tomorrow we'll have snow. You never know these days, but I really enjoyed the day. I sat outside on my balcony and I worked out there while the birds were chirping, and it was so relaxing. And I could appreciate that when I'm not traveling, that I'm remote, because that's when my complex is so quiet. Not saying that it's loud per se, but it's just very calm during the day because the kids are at school and the parents are at work. So I hope y'all are having a great day. If not, it's still time to turn it around, be as beautiful as you are inside, accept the beautifulness outside. And sometimes we have to let that feel and filter through us if we don't feel like we're at our best. So today, we are going to talk about perseverance versus resilience, or should I say resilience versus perseverance? Whatever. A fact that I love to stand by is that it's simply, one is words and one is action. So something that I read by the famous Honorable Nelson Mandela was that it always seems impossible until it is done. And I felt like that was the perfect quote for today. So let's start off with, what is the difference between the two, resilience and perseverance? So with resilience, it's mindset and thought process to overcome challenges in your life and maintain focus. So basically just not giving up, telling yourself that I got this, today might be a bad day, today, tomorrow will be better, stuff like that. When it comes to perseverance, it's following through and using said mindset to act and keep going and going until you get there. And that's from everyoneactive.com. So basically, you can't just sit here and say, oh, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then there's no action behind it. And I think a lot of the times, people see the outside of what people do. Like, oh, you see a person when they're accomplished, but you don't know all of the things that it took for them to get there. Just simply being a content creator, especially working on your own, it's hard. You feel like you fell off if you missed a day. A lot of times you don't have all your ducks in a row, so you're doing this and not that, and, missing this, so it seems exhausting. It can be very overwhelming. You have to try to be as organized as possible. You have to learn to ask for help, assistance, support, resources, thoughts, opinions, so that you can perfect your craft. And you have to do a ton of research, consistently know to evolve and, take bits and pieces from the things that you learn and make it your own. But people work for years and years and years before, they get recognition for what they did. So never envy a person in where they are in life, because you never know what it took for them to get there. So, again, just being persistent, consistently knowing that if you keep working towards whatever it is in front of you, that you can accomplish it. Just think of your lowest moment years back. How do you feel now? At that moment, you might have thought you was in quicksand, right? Like, how the hell am I gonna get out of here? But look at you now. Look at you. Look at you. Yes, I love it, motives. So, just keep that. It's basically like gas. You're the car, and your resilience, persistence, and your action is the gas. So, all right, you might be on low, but that doesn't mean that you can't fill it up and get to wherever you're going, right? So just like you fill your tank up, you should be filling yourself, just like I talked about on a prior episode as far as investing in yourself. Invest in yourself like you invest in everybody else. Invest in yourself like you invest in a subscription. invest in yourself like you invest in all the little vices and little things that you might be into that you know you could probably save on if you got rid of one or two. Like, it's always room for improvement, and to just discern and decide what is actually bringing value to your life and what is not. So thought is important, but it needs to be followed up with action. Your subconscious doesn't know what is true or not. And I promise I will talk about this until the cows come home, the moon is green, and whatever the case may be. Like, I have always been a pretty upbeat person, always a shoulder to cry on. I'm really always been that supportive friend. I'm there for my friends. I'm there for those that I care for. That's probably the one thing that they'll say all in all. But I didn't always think positively. I still am an overthinker, but I would literally go down these rabbit holes of all kinds of negative stuff that would literally snowball into like an avalanche of negativity. And I'm just like in the bottom of that, like trying to get out at this point, like freak. So, I just didn't want to continue to live life like that. And once I started traveling regionally and then divisionally and all of that stuff, I had a lot of time on my hands. So I started to focus. One of the first books that I read was Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And then, of course, Rich Dad, all of that stuff. But I had to listen to Four Agreements like 10 times now. It's layman term things that just simply make you think. And with reading that book, of course, you don't have to resonate to everything. Like, that's what a lot of people don't understand. I can agree with you in a way, but not all the way through. That should be okay. Take what's for you, leave what's not. So Four Agreements really, really changed my life. So it just made me think of things from a different perspective, like the simple fact, the jerk that cuts you off because they're late to work. That is a reflection of them. The way they acted is a reflection of them. The way that you react is a reflection of you. And, I also think you never know what people go through. And it's simply stressful to be mad at everybody about everything every day. Like, you don't even know that person. Why are you so upset? So even if it's a person that you do know, you might work with, they're a complete jerk, da da da. A lot of times, those people might be miserable at home, or they're going through all kinds of stuff, as well. And not to say that you're not going through things, but it's to say, let it go. Like, choose your battles. It's literally good for your health. So once I just started tapping into myself and, why don't I like these things, or why do I act this way? And literally being conscious and thinking about negative things I wanted to remove from my life, negative people I wanted to remove from my life, negative situations, whatever the case may be, I did it. I did it one by one. And I remember one time I was kind of like backtracking a little bit, something a little traumatic happened, and I'm just sitting there like negative. I'm like, would you shut up? Like, stop. Like, I literally said it out loud to myself, because we ain't gonna do this. You know what I mean? A negative situation doesn't mean that you're negative. Experience something negative doesn't mean that that is you. Like, that is something that's just going to follow you for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? Like a negative pin that, you collect on your shirt as you go through life. Like, no, you know what I mean? You have the authority to decide how situations are going to play out. And I do believe that when someone is negative towards me and then I am negative back, I'm simply sharing that negativity with them now. For what? They can keep that negative thing over there. I can, okay, bye. And then that stays with them. So it's all about transference of energy and all of that stuff. I don't want no bad vibes. No, I got my own things to be taken care of. I don't want anything extra around me that does not have to be, So since your subconscious doesn't know what's true or not, you can trick your brain to develop the mindset you want by using affirmations, visualizing results, and acting daily to get there. So you guys know how I feel about my vision boards. That's the main thing. You don't have to actually go out and find magazines and da da da. I do love the physical aspect of doing that, but they have vision board apps. You literally can just get a notebook and pen and write down random things that you want, random words that you want. I write down my my favorite numbers and the insides of my books. I always date anything that I write, even if it's a note, because I collect books for some reason, notebooks. And I love to go back and look later and see what I was thinking at a certain time. It was really nostalgic for me because I know I'm sentimental as hell. So I absolutely love that. But just literally talking to myself, like I call myself a boss, like, let's go, queen. You got this. You could do this. You could do that because I can, and as I'm talking to myself and affirming these things over and over and over again, it comes into fruition. For example, in January, I went to Orlando. My son and I went to Podfest Global, I think. Yeah, Podfest Global. So we went, we had a great time. It was just great. And I took a picture and I'm like, this is just the beginning of what's to come for Shades of Tone. And here we are in April. And I signed up to be a case study for a Podfest Expo. That's the virtual Podfest. And, I use Buzzsprout. So that's my hosting platform, so that's how they connect us with that. But it was a 5-minute case study. And I basically got to talk about, whatever it is that I want to talk about. So I talked about self-care. And it was just so liberating to see immediately, like months didn't even pass. And in March, I'm asked to be a case study. Like, yes, it might have been 5 minutes. It was from, I think, 10:20 to 10:25 or 10:25 to 10:30. And it might not have meant much to people, but I was with hundreds of other case studies. And simply put, with just us going back and forth and watching each other's podcasts and giving each other feedback and all that stuff, that in itself was rich in experience. That in itself was something that I won't ever forget. So again, it might not be happening the way that you want it to happen, but you have to consistently have faith that it will. You have to be conscious. You need to be determined and serious about what resilience and perseverance means to you. Like, your life is no joke. You know what I mean? And you might ha kiki. And yes, it should be fun moments. I laugh every day. I smile every day, but I'm also going to get that notepad out and check myself when I'm slipping. If I'm becoming a little too slack, then it's like, all right, well, what we doing this week? And every day I put in, in my phone, or I write down in my planner what I'm going to do for the day. A couple years ago, I put in my calendar what my productive time was going to be. And that is 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for years, that has been my time. And it just so happens that a lot of the seminars and meetings and stuff I go to, trainings I go to, it seems to be around that time. And that's crazy, because I didn't even know or was a part of that stuff at that time. It's just something that just synchronizes to me. So, just look at it like that. I set a time years ago, and that is becoming the time that I typically am pushing my business, learning about my business, or applying the resources, listening to trainings and stuff like that for it. So it's just the signs for me. I absolutely love that. And that gives me all that I need to keep going. Like, there is nothing too far-fetched, and you should believe that is nothing too far-fetched. Now, if we're talking about you 5'2" and trying to be 6 feet, it's like, all right, come on. But for the most part, if you can think it, somebody else has thought it before. If you could think it, then I feel as though if you could think something, that it has the potential to have some truth in way, like somebody just drew an alien on a piece of paper and just said, okay, we're going to call this an alien. And this person, it came from here. And like, don't start with me though. Y'all know how I be. But, I do believe that. And I personally believe that, I'm resilient. I've been told this from family, friends, colleagues. Perfect example is when I got hacked. My social media accounts got hacked in October 21. And it was Facebook and Instagram. And usually people just be like, all right, bump it, and just get a new one. I would not let it go. I went and got my friend's Oculus. I signed into there. I figured out how to verify my account from there. And it took like a month and a half, like 6 weeks. But I got both of my accounts back. Tone Motivates is still in the building. I still have them right now to this day. And that makes me so proud because I didn't give up. What I'm giving up for? You know what I mean? I know that I didn't do anything wrong. I know I meant good by those social media platforms. I busted my behind to get where I was, and I was not going to let it go. Like, my name is Tone Motivates. Why would I just let that go? Nah, nope. Let me show y'all what motivation is. Let's go. You know what I mean? So, I've always been seen as resilient, and I back it up with perseverance, because I know whenever I have a less favorable situation that things will change. Just like you have really good times, you're going to have not so good times. And we have to understand that there's always a positive and negative, a yin and a yang, up and down, but it goes back and forth. And if you're at your lowest, why would you want to stay there? If you're in quote unquote hell, why would you want to stay? You know what I mean? It's like, if you're thirsty, why would you want to remain thirsty? You're not going to try to figure out how to get in a drink? Like, I'm just wondering, So, like, don't beat yourself up so much. Sometimes you have to literally just give yourself a pat on the back for doing the best that you did. And even if the best that you did that day is getting through the day, getting out of bed, it's okay. It's all right. Figure out how we're going to fix it. Figure out how we're going to make sure this is not a habit and I'm not going to do this all week. But get up. And when you do get up, try to make the best of it. But self-care is also knowing when to stop. Think about it. It's knowing when to stop sometimes and literally just be still. Self-care is not always about manis and petties, getting your hair done and shape up. And no. Sometimes self-care is literally sitting down. That means ordering your favorite takeout and a movie. You ain't doing dishes today. Somebody else gonna take out that garbage. Then that's what it is. There's nothing wrong with that. And, it's pretty much like resilience is knowing, basically. Resilience is knowing you will pass the test. Perseverance is studying and retaking said test over and over again until you pass. You know what I mean? So I know me, I had to take the driving test twice. And I took the written test and the driving part twice. But I wasn't giving up. I didn't start driving until I was like 21. I've been driving the same amount of years I've been a mother. You know what I mean? So, all right, you failed the test. That means you got a good look at it. Keep going. What else? Now, resilience is also knowing you want a better job. Perseverance is doing your best at your current job while you look for another one. So don't just check out and be acting crappy and all that stuff, because you never know who you could use as a reference and all that. I take my corporate world very seriously because it's a small world, and even though the corporate world is not something that I want to be in forever as far as working for someone, I can't say that I haven't learned all sorts of valuable information with dealing with different people, as far as diversity and different backgrounds and all that stuff. And, it really made me well-rounded. So, don't burn your bridges all the time. It ain't smart to do that all the time now, right? Now, in addition to that, and this one might tug on some heartstrings, but resilience is being hurt in a relationship, but knowing you are loved. Perseverance is keeping an open heart and mind to find your true love, right? And I say this because I hear a lot of people saying that they, they're never going to get a relationship and this and that. And, why do they mess with, like, people are really out here traumatized over things people be doing to them. Don't get me wrong, I'm terrified too, especially being out there dating and stuff. Like, you never know. People could put up facades. Like, it's just so crazy. And it's like, as you get older, it's not the same. Like, oh, I'll date John and then next week I'll date. No, you're not, you don't have time for all that. You genuinely don't, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you have a career as well. Like, I don't have time for that. I literally need a virtual assistant. So, until I get a real assistant at least, but I said that to say, first and foremost, regardless of anything outside of you, you should know that you are loved. And if you are not loved by anyone in this world, just know that you are loved by yourself and that you can always love yourself more. Look in the mirror and say that to yourself if you don't believe it. You are beautiful in your own ways, not because of how you look aesthetically, but because of how beautiful you are inside, because of the light that shines through you. So, as always love. To respond to a question, make a suggestion for an episode, To be a guest or give feedback, reach out to us at info@tonemotivates.com. You can also find us on social media at Tone Motivates on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and at Shades of Tone _podcast on Instagram and Facebook. And as always, you can find us at tonemotivates.com, where all of those links are as well.